It is absolutely no secret that the Detroit Pistons are a joke of a franchise right now, and they are the laughingstock of the NBA. Today I'm going to go over all the mistakes they made and highlight what they could have done better in certain areas, as they built one of the worst rosters of all time last year. Let's get into it. The first thing you clearly have to point to is the draft. I mean, you look at 2019's draft where they started to get really bad and produce these bad teams. Before that, they weren't good, but they weren't bad either. I mean, they had Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond. They were decent teams, but the 15th pick, they took Sekou Doumbouya. Then the next year, they took Killian Hayes, number 7. And I just want to highlight with both of these guys, they were both seen as boom or bust prospects coming out of the draft. So to take them in back-to-back years clearly shows that they want, immediately to bring in their star player that's going to lead them. When in reality, sometimes if you have the 15th or 7th pick, you gotta just take someone you think is going to be a role player for you down the road. And then you look the next year, they got the number 1 pick, took Cade Cunningham, who in theory should be your number 1 guy going forward. I mean, you took him number 1, you gotta have that confidence that he's going to be your number 1 guy. And then the next year you take Jaden Ivey, another point guard, number 5. I mean, it just made no sense to me. You already have Cade, why take Jaden Ivey when, once again, he's kind of another boom or bust prospect where he hasn't been bad in the NBA, but he really hasn't done much and has been in trade discussions somewhat. And then Ausar Thompson the following year in 2023, a prospect that in my opinion was really boom or bust, but I think he's going to be a good player. He's already one of the best defenders in the NBA, which is really promising. And then Ron Holland this year, who is very similar to Ausar Thompson. If you look at the reactions to the Ron Holland pick this year, they were mixed. I don't know why you bring in a team that desperately needs shooting, really bad, and you bring in basically a worse version of Ausar Thompson. That really made no sense to me. So if I look at all these drafts in the past 5-6 years, I just sense a pattern where they're drafting guys solely off potential and hoping that they can be a superstar, that they are the boom pick. But in reality, sometimes you just gotta take a double. You just gotta take someone that's gonna be a role player for you rather than going for that home run swing that's gonna be a superstar, which they've been trying to do. Hasn't worked out for them at all. You look at other NBA teams that have been successful. You look at the Grizzlies, for example. They've just drafted guys that fit their team. They got Ja, drafted him number 2, thought they had confidence that he was their guy, and then just drafted around him being the superstar for them. Yet you look at the Pistons, they drafted Cade Cunningham. You gotta have confidence that that's your guy. Yet they continue to draft guys based off potential that could be the superstar, when in reality they might already have the superstar on their team, yet they don't build the team around him. So in the draft, I think it just shows that they are drafting off upside instead of trying to get role players, which is a theme with them. They don't have any depth and they're pretty top heavy. Forgot to mention some of the guys they traded for during the draft in Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. They've both been alright. Jalen Duren was another guy that was boom or bust because he was 18 out of the draft, but he's been alright. I think the jury's kind of still out on Isaiah Stewart. He's been okay. I think he could be a rotational player. I don't really know. But I really like Jalen Duren's potential, so I got to give him props for that. Next up, you got to point out the fact that they keep on bringing in these young, high draft picked guys that haven't really panned out. You look at Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman. You look at those two, and they keep bringing in those type of guys that they were not good on their first team and hoping that they can be better on the second team and have a resurgence just because they were high draft picks. Yet, in my opinion, they should be putting some solid rotational guys that are some veterans to lead the young guys. They really haven't done that. I mean, Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks were the veterans for this team, yet they traded them away. They really haven't brought in good NBA players for Cade Cunningham. So they just keep on bringing these young guys that are quote-unquote busts already, but the jury's still out, I guess, on James Wiseman and Marvin Bagley. But replace those minutes with guys that are going to compete. You got Simone Fontecchio at the trade deadline. I really like that move. You just got a rotational guy. You need rotational guys. Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman aren't, so why are you giving them minutes, right? Just replace those minutes with guys that are going to help you now, because you've been tanking for 5 years. A tank should take less than that to show some improvement, which they've shown none. So they just got to replace those minutes of guys that most people see have no potential anymore, and they haven't done anything in the NBA, bring in guys that are gonna help lead the young guys, help build them up, because that's how you win games. That's how you improve young players, is by having veterans. You listen to any interview with a young guy, they're gonna say how important their veteran leadership was. And they just haven't surrounded the young guys with veterans yet. I don't like saying this because you're tanking and you kind of have to expect this. It's just kind of bad luck, right? 2024 and 2023, they had the worst record in the league and then fell to the number 5 pick, which is the worst case scenario, which is just bad luck straight up. They missed out on Wemby because of it. You can't really do anything about that. That is just unfortunate, but if you're tanking, that's something you've got to know is coming. That could happen, and you have to be able to draft good players despite it, which jury's still out if they've done that. So bad luck is just another reason. I mean, you can't really blame it on the bad luck, but it is a big part of it. But I'm sure their front office expected, like, we might fall, right? I mean, it's bound to happen to someone. Someone's got to fall if someone rises, right? And it's just unlucky, but I know Pistons fans have to be mad about that. I mean, I would be too. But just bad luck is a real reason why things haven't panned out, because they should have had the number 1 pick in these past 2 drafts, and they haven't. But that's kind of the name of the game in the NBA draft lottery, right? It's unpredictable, can't do anything about it. Other leagues like NFL, you have the worst record, you get the first pick. Not the NBA. That's something you've got to be ready for. But I think it's worth mentioning they have gotten quite unlucky. The final reason is the coaching over the past few years. You've had 3 different coaches in the past 5 or 3 years even, or 2-3 years even, and that's just not good. I mean, Dwayne Casey, he was an alright coach, but got booted in 2023, and then Monty Williams, which was a disaster. I mean, signed him to a giant contract just to fire him this year. And now JB Bickerstaff, and I will say in defense of them, I think JB Bickerstaff could be the coach of the future. I really thought he was a good coach for the Cavs, and they got rid of him. But yeah, for young guys, it's really important to have a guy that's consistent with them for them to grow, that they can grow together. Having a coach that has confidence in you, that, like Monty Williams, it's hard. I'm sure it's hard for him to come into a roster that's really bad and have confidence in the guys. And I'm sure Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, all those guys felt that way too, that their coach didn't have any confidence with them because they haven't given them reason to. Yet a coach that saw you grow and has seen you grow and improve is likely going to have more confidence in you because they see the steps you're making and want to keep going in that direction. And Dwayne Casey, while he wasn't the best coach, he was a winning coach on the Raptors, but he was not the type of coach that's going to develop young guys, really. And I say the same thing. Actually, I think Monty Williams, it was that type of coach on Phoenix, but it didn't pan out here. I mean, he led Phoenix to some good seasons. I was really surprised when they got rid of him, but JB Bickerstaff has shown willingness to play young guys in Cleveland and let them grow, and has shown he can develop young guys like Garland and Mobley and Jared Allen even. So I think this hire could be the one that really puts them over the top and, you know, lets them improve actually, just because, you know, young guys really just need consistency. Going three different coaches in 3 different years is rough for any player. It's different systems. You got to learn a whole new way to play basketball. It's tough, right? So yeah, coaches is another really big reason. So yeah, that's how to not build an NBA team featuring the Detroit Pistons. Let me know what you thought. Let me know any points you have below that you think I didn't bring up. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know anything I could have done better. I make these type of videos all the time. If you enjoyed it, you'll probably enjoy my channel. So check out my other videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.